To be joined by Carl Speaker Hasty. We've had a robust conversation. First of all, I hosted them at the governor's residence early this morning to make sure they're well fed with New York food, as well as giving them the opportunity to see a home that Franklin Roosevelt once lived in. For inspiration, as I'm inspired every day about knowing who we're fighting for and who we're fighting against. These brave public servants are taking a stand, a strong stand, against a blatant power grab that's happening in their state as we speak. And this will have implications, not just in Texas, but for our entire nation and its future. First of all, by breaking quorum, using a legitimate form of government, correct? We've talked about this. This is not breaking the law. This is a legitimate process that has been used before. By breaking quorum and being here today, these legislators are getting into what John Lewis might call good trouble. Good trouble is the best kind of trouble. You know why? Because now that we have the Attorney General, the Texas Attorney General, who, by the way, is obsessed with going after doctors in our state who are simply providing medication, abortion assistance to people who are denied that by their own states. Now he's threatened to arrest each and every one of them if they don't return to Austin. But they're being asked to return to vote for a radical redrawing of the congressional lines that were already adopted. They're being adopted in favor of Republicans. And of course, where did this come from? Well, Donald Trump came up with this scheme, perhaps with some help with AI, I don't know. But they have literally redrawn 5 congressional districts, primarily representing communities of color that need the representation. They've drawn racist lines to disenfranchise millions of Texans. So what does this have to do with the state of New York? It's a good question. I'll tell you this. The last 6 months, Donald Trump and his cowardly Republican enablers have pursued an agenda that has destroyed all we hold dear in this country. It's harmed the American people, but also the people I represent in the state of New York. They've denied life-saving health care to millions of people. They've denied food to poor children. Why? All this to give tax breaks to their billionaire buddies. And also now they're crushing the middle class with tariffs, which are simply poorly disguised taxes. We're hearing the news today how everything is going to go up. A backpack that you could have bought for just $30 in May is now $50 for moms and dads getting ready for back-to-school shopping. That's the direct impact on New Yorkers and Americans. But also at the same time, in our states and many others, they're sending masked, armed individuals to snatch law-abiding residents off the streets as their own children scream in terror. That is happening on the streets of our great country. So people are basically disgusted. They're disgusted with this trampling of their basic human rights, rights that we've always cherished and fought for in this country. And that is precisely why New York has a strong interest in what is occurring almost across the country in Texas. Now I have news flash for Republicans in Texas. This is no longer the Wild West. We're not going to tolerate our democracy being stolen in a modern-day stagecoach hoist by a bunch of law-breaking cowboys. Americans don't want a system that's stacked against them. They believe in fairness. It's fundamental. And I'll tell you this, they're done with the chaos. They're done with the cruelty. And I would say they're ready to vote Republicans out of power in Washington, certainly in the upcoming 2026 elections. Republicans know this. They've seen the polls. They know they're sliding downhill because Americans are rejecting their policies. So this is why they're fighting. They know they'll lose the elections, but to subvert the will of the people, they're hell-bent on rigging the system. Rigging the system is un-American. Congressional districts are never redrawn mid-decade as they are. But here they are, flagrantly breaking the rules so they can hold on to power. And with that power, they're going to inflict even more pain. And they'd rather eliminate fairness in the system than to proceed knowing they're going to lose. They'd rather silence voters than serve them. From my perspective, to refuse to stand up and fight for our democracy as we are joining in solidarity with our friends from Texas means one thing. You won't fight for democracy, you're doomed to lose it. For almost 250 years, our democratic experience has been fought for, and it's endured. As governor of a state where many of those early battles took place, we're commemorating them next year. Those battles for freedom were here. That's why I cannot stand by and let this happen while Donald Trump and his co-conspirator, Greg Abbott, erode our democracy and drag us toward authoritarianism. Now, what Texas and Republican states are doing at the direction of Donald Trump, I say is nothing short of a legal insurrection against our Capitol. Legal meaning they're using the legal process. Does not mean it's legal, and it must be stopped. If Republicans are willing to rewrite these rules to give themselves an advantage, then they're leaving us no choice. We must do the same. There's a phrase, you have to fight fire with fire. That is a true statement of how we're feeling right now. And as I've said, another overused but applicable phrase, all's fair in love and war. That's why I'm exploring with our leaders every option to redraw our state congressional lines as soon as possible. Our state legislative leaders, Carol Heastie, Majority Leader Andre Stewart-Cousins, they're on board, as are their members. We're already working on a legislative process, reviewing our legal strategies, and we'll do everything in our power to stop this brazen assault. As I mentioned, these are profiles in courage sitting with me here today. They left their homes, left their families, left their loved ones in a world of uncertainty. But our history is defined by people who are brave patriots, who will not accept the status quo, who believe they must use their voices and their positions to stand up for others. And I could not be prouder to have an opportunity to meet them, each and every one of them, and hear their personal stories. And I thank them so much for making this journey. You are on the right side of history. And you're not alone.
Thank you.
We are in solidarity with each and every one of you and your colleagues in another state, hosted by my great friend, J.B. Pritzker, who welcome you as well. As I said, history will judge us on how we respond to this moment. But here in New York, we will not stand on the sidelines with the timid souls on the sidelines who don't care, will not invest their heart and soul into this battle. This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.